Ben stood at the edge of the observation deck, looking out into the stars. The driftlight floated quietly in the shadow of a small moon. They had been hiding there for 2 days, waiting and watching. There was no sign of the black ship. But Ben didn't feel safe yet. Behind him, Larry walked softly into the room. She stopped beside him and looked out the window too. "Still watching?" she asked. "I don't want to be surprised," Ben replied. Larry nodded. "The others are resting." Sen asked if you would read to him tonight. Ben smiled. Of course. Every evening, Ben told stories to the children. Simple tales about space explorers, brave animals, and peaceful places. The children listened quietly, their eyes full of wonder. It became their small tradition, something that made them feel normal again. That night, Ben read a story about a small bird that flew across the stars looking for its lost home. When the story ended, Sen asked, "Do you think we'll find a home like that one day?" Ben looked at him. "I think we already have. It just doesn't look like it yet." The next day, the drift light picked up a signal. It was weak but steady. A neutral zone station was near, one that welcomed refugees. Ben decided they should head there. It was a risk, but they couldn't hide forever. They powered up the ship and began the journey. It would take 3 days. During that time, everyone worked together to prepare. The children packed their things, and Larry taught them more about their history. Callan told stories of their old world, and Ben made sure the ship stayed safe. One evening, Ben and Larry sat in a small kitchen. They shared a quiet meal. Ben looked at her. "Do you miss your home?" Larry nodded slowly. "Every day. But I do not wish to go back. I wish to go forward." Ben understood. He had left Earth years ago. He had no one waiting for him there. But now he had something here. He just didn't know what it was yet. As they moved closer to the station, the black ship appeared again. It came from behind a planet, silent and fast. Alarms rang across the driftlight. "They found us," Ben said, again. Larry stood beside him. "We must not let them take us." Ben looked at the others. "We're not running this time. We hold our ground." He powered up the new shield and aimed the ship toward a small asteroid belt. The black ship followed, but this time, Ben had a plan. He guided the driftlight through the rocks, using Larry's senses again. The children stayed strapped in, calm but alert. Callan operated the energy field from the back. When they reached the center of the belt, Ben turned the ship around. "We fight here?" he said. The black ship approached slowly. It stopped just beyond. "The asteroids. They are scanning us," Larry said. Ben waited. Then the black ship fired. The shield caught the blast, but the force shook the ship. "Return fire," Ben shouted. They didn't have strong weapons, but they had something else. Larry and Callan had built energy reflectors. When the enemy fired again, Ben activated the reflectors. The beam bounced off and struck the black ship's wing. "Direct hit!" Callan yelled. The black ship moved back. It fired again, but the driftlight dodged. Ben flew low between rocks. Larry warned him of danger before it came. "Right now. Down. Slow." Ben followed her every word. They moved like one mind. The black ship fired a missile. Ben turned sharply, and the missile hit an asteroid instead. The explosion lit up space. "Keep going," Ben said. "Don't stop." They flew past the debris and reached the far side of the belt. The black ship was damaged and could not follow quickly. Ben set course for the neutral station. The crew cheered. The children clapped. Even Callan smiled. Hours later, they arrived at the station. It was larger than the last one. A voice came. Through the radio. "Unknown ship. Identify yourself." Ben replied. "This is the driftlight. We have refugees. We need safe harbor." There was a pause. "Permission granted. Docking Bay 12. The driftlight entered slowly. The doors closed behind them. Inside the station, officials greeted them. They asked questions, but this time, they welcomed the group. Medical teams checked the children. Callan was taken to a care unit. Larry stayed beside Ben. The leader of the station was a woman named Mira. She listened to their story with great care. "You show great courage," Mira said. "Your actions saved lives. You are welcome here." Ben looked at Larry. She nodded. "Thank you," Ben said. "We just want a place to rest." Myra smiled. "You've earned that." In the days that followed, the children settled into the station. They were given small rooms, clothes, and books. Callan began teaching local students about his people's history. Larry was invited to speak at a cultural meeting. Ben was offered a job. The station wanted him to stay as a guide for new arrivals. They needed someone who understood danger, someone who had a heart. Ben didn't answer right away. He walked through the quiet halls and thought about everything that had happened. He thought about the day he found Larry in the wreck. He thought about the times they almost died. He thought about the way the children now laugh freely. That night, Larry came. To him, "You are thinking deeply," she said. "I was offered a place here. Will you stay?" "I don't know." "Do you want me to?" Larry looked at him. Her eyes glowed softly. "You are our beginning. Without you, we would still be lost." Ben took a deep breath. "Then I'll stay," she smiled. "Together, we make something new." They walked through the station, side by side. The stars beyond the glass windows seemed to shine a little brighter. And for the first time in a long while, Ben felt like he had finally found a place where he belonged. The drift light sped away from the neutral station with its engines burning hot. Ben kept both hands tight on the controls. The stars ahead looked calm, but danger followed closely behind. The black ship was coming after them, moving faster with each passing second. Laurie stood beside him, her eyes scanning the sensors. The children were strapped in safely, and Callan was lying down near the medical bay. Everyone was quiet. Fear hung in the air. "They're gaining," Ben said. "Then we must make them stop," Laurie replied. Ben shook his head. "This ship isn't built for battle. We can't fight them head on." Larry touched the control screen gently. "Then we use the space around us." Ben looked at the map. A small asteroid field was just ahead. It was dangerous to fly through, but it might be their only chance. "Hold tight," Ben said to everyone. "We're going into the rocks." He turned the drift light toward the asteroid field. Large rocks spun slowly in space. Some were the size of cars, others as big as buildings. The ship shook as they entered. Behind them, the black ship followed without hesitation. It fired a warning shot. The blast passed near the drift light, close enough to rattle the walls. Ben focused. His hands moved fast, guiding the ship through tight spaces. Larry stood behind him, eyes closed. She whispered directions, sensing the movement of the asteroids. "Left, then up, sharp right now." Ben followed her words. Each time, he missed a deadly crash by inches. The enemy ship was larger and had trouble keeping up. Ben smiled slightly. "It's working." Then another blast shook the drift light. A piece of metal flew off the rear engine. "We lost part of our engine cover," Ben said. "Still moving, but slower." Larry opened her eyes. "There is a narrow pass ahead. If we make it, they won't follow." "Where is it?" 2 minutes away." "But the path is thin, only room for one." Ben pushed the engines. The drift light jumped forward, sliding between sharp rocks. The black ship fired again, but the shot missed. Ben saw the pass. It looked like a small hole in a wall of stone. "Are you sure we can fit?" he asked. "If you believe," Larry said. Ben didn't have time to doubt. He aimed for the hole and flew straight into it. The walls were close. Metal scraped against rock. Sparks flew. The ship shook violently, but it didn't stop. They came out the other side in one piece. The black ship paused at the entrance. It couldn't follow. The hole was too small. "We did it," Ben whispered. Larry let out a long breath. "You are braver than most warriors." Ben turned the ship toward a quiet sector. They needed to hide and repair. He found a dark area filled with space dust and small moons. He powered down the engines. The drift light became a shadow in the dark. Inside, the children unbuckled and looked around. "Are we safe now?" Sen asked. "For now," Ben said. "But we still have a long way to go." Larry helped the others settle down. She gave them food and water. Callan looked pale but smiled weakly. Ben went to the back of the ship. He opened the panel and began fixing the damage. His hands worked fast, even though they trembled. Larry came to help. "You don't need to do this alone," she said. "I'm used to working alone," Ben replied. "But you are not alone now." They worked side by side. Sparks flew as they fixed the wires. They didn't talk much, but the silence between them felt warmed out after a while. Ben sat down and drank water. "How did you know how to guide us through the rocks?" he asked. Larry looked at her hands. "When I was young, I trained as a guide. My people used the stars, not machines. We listened to space." "You mean you felt it?" "Yes. It is like hearing music." "Others can't hear," Ben smiled. "That's beautiful." "It saved us," she said. Ben stood and looked at the ship. "We need more than luck next time." Laurie nodded. "Then we build something new." Together, for the next few days, they made changes. To the drift light, Ben found old tools and scrap in the storage bay. Larry used pieces from their crashed ship, which she had carried with her. Callan gave advice and taught the children how to assist. Sen helped build a small shield emitter. Another child, Yari, learned to control the power grid. "You are teaching them well," Larry told Ben. "They deserve to learn. They're stronger than I thought." One evening, Larry handed Ben a small box. Inside was a glowing stone. "What is this?" Ben asked. "A memory stone. It holds the stories of our people. It belongs to the one we trust most." Ben stared at it. "I'm not one of you, but you became one of us. Not by blood, but by choice." Ben held the stone carefully. It was warm in his hand. "Thank you," he said. She smiled. "You gave us hope. We give you our story." That night, they all sat together in the common room. Larry sang in her language. It was soft and peaceful. The children closed their eyes. Callan leaned back and listened. Ben sat beside her, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Not just duty or survival. Something more. He looked at Larry and knew he would protect her and her people with everything he had. The stars outside twinkled silently in the darkness. The drift light floated quietly, carrying not just survivors, but a small growing family. And no danger. Still waited out there in space for this moment. They had peace. Ben knew the fight wasn't over, but now he wasn't alone. The neutral station was busy with ships coming and going. It floated above a dusty planet and served as a safe place for all kinds of people across the stars. Humans, aliens, and traders lived and worked there. Some looked for peace. Others looked for profit. But the rules were strict. No fighting, no hunting, and no questions about the past. Ben led Laurie and the others through the wide metal halls. Station workers stared as the group passed. Most had never seen Larry's kind before. Their silver skin and soft glowing eyes made them stand out. Some people whispered. A few backed away. A station officer guided them to a quiet room. It had soft beds, clean walls, and food dispensers. It was more than enough after the long journey. The children sat on the floor, still too shy to speak. Callan, the older man with the broken leg, rested on a cot. He gave Ben a grateful nod. A doctor entered the room. She wore a calm face and asked questions in a friendly tone. Ben explained everything simply, telling how he found the wreck and rescued the survivors. The doctor listened and began scanning. The children, Larry stood beside Ben the whole time. She said very little, but watched everyone carefully. Her hand stayed near Sen's shoulder as if guarding him. Later, a station official named Clara asked to speak with Ben in private. She was kind, but her voice held concern. "You brought unregistered aliens to this station. That's not normal procedure." Ben kept his voice steady. They were dying. Their ship crashed. I couldn't just leave them. Clara nodded slowly. We ran checks. No one knows where they're from. No records, no allies, nothing. Their world was destroyed, Ben said. They're refugees. I understand, but others may not. Some people are afraid of what they don't know. That's not their fault. Clara leaned forward. They can stay, for now. But we need to be careful. If word spreads, someone might come looking. Someone who doesn't care about our rules. Ben nodded. He already knew that. The black ships were still out there. When he returned to the room, the children were eating. Larry sat near a window, staring. At the stars, Ben joined her. They will let us stay, he said. But it may not be for long. I understand, thank you. Do you want to tell them more about your people? She shook her head. Not yet. It still hurts. They sat in silence. Ben watched her fingers move in a slow pattern across her lap. It looked like a song or a prayer. He didn't ask Dot the next day. Ben walked through the station alone. He needed air, or as close as he could get to it in space. He stopped near a window and watched ships pass by. Then he saw something that made his stomach twist. A black ship. Far away, but not far enough. It wasn't attacking. It was just watching. Ben ran to the station's security office. There's a threat out there, he said. I saw the ship that chased us. The officer raised an eyebrow. There are hundreds of ships here. We don't interfere unless someone breaks the rules. They're not here to trade. They're here to find the people I rescued. Unless they fire a shot, our hands are tied. Ben left the office, angry and worried. He returned to Larry. They're here, he told her. She didn't look surprised. They always come. We need a plan. We can't wait until they attack. Larry stood. Then we prepare. For the next 2 days, Ben worked nonstop. He asked the station engineers for parts. He traded some of his own supplies. With Larry's help, he began reinforcing the drift light again. They added a basic shield and upgraded the engines. It wasn't much, but it would help if they had to escape. Callan joined them. He couldn't move well, but he gave advice. He knew systems and wiring. The children helped too, carrying tools and holding lights. They wanted to be useful. On the third night, Ben sat with Larry outside the docking bay. Why do they want your people gone so badly? Because we are a memory, a reminder of something they destroyed. If we live, their lie is broken. What lie? That. No one stood against them. That no light remains. Ben looked at her. Well, you're still here. That means something. She smiled softly. You believe that. That's what makes you different. Ben didn't know what to say. The next morning, the black ship moved closer. Alarms rang across the station. Ben ran to the control deck. The ship wasn't firing, but it was sending a signal. The message was simple. Hand over the refugees, or we will take them. The station leaders met in a small room. Clara looked pale. If we fight, we break our rules. If we give them up, we lose our purpose. Ben stood up. Then give them to me. I'll leave with them. Clara blinked. You won't survive. Maybe not, but I'd rather try than do nothing. Larry stepped forward. We won't let him go alone. Ben looked at her. Are you sure? We choose to live. Together. Clara sighed. You have 12 hours. Prepare for launch. Ben returned to the drift light. He checked every wire, every system. The children packed their few things. Callan sat by the window, whispering words in his language. Larry helped Ben and silenced Dot. As the countdown neared 0, the station opened its doors. The drift light launched slowly, heading toward the black ship. Ben gripped the controls. Ready? Larry nodded. Always. The enemy ship moved to intercept. Ben hit the engines. The chase had begun. The drift light moved fast through the emptiness of space. Ben sat at the controls, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. The ship was quiet, but the tension inside was heavy. The children were sleeping, and Larry was watching over them. They had been lucky so far, but Ben knew that luck wouldn't last forever. The strange signal was still there. It pulsed like a slow drum beat. Every time Ben checked the sensors, he saw something strange. Shadows on the radar. Flickers that didn't belong. He couldn't tell if they were real or just the ship systems acting up. Either way, it made his skin crawl. Lorraine walked into the cockpit. She looked tired, but her eyes were clear. One of the children had a bad dream, she said. Nightmares? Yes. He saw the burning skies, the noise of the machines. He cried until he fell asleep again. Ben nodded. I wish I could tell him everything will be fine. You already gave them something they didn't have before, hope. Ben didn't say anything. He wasn't used to being called a hero. He still didn't feel like one. He had only done what he thought was right. He checked the course again. They were getting closer to the neutral station. A few more days, if everything went well. He only hoped nothing would go wrong. Suddenly, the ship's alarm beeped. Ben jumped. He looked at the screen. A new contact. It was small but fast. Too fast. We've got company, he said. Laurie stepped closer. Can we run? We can try. Ben turned. Up the engines. The drift light pushed forward, but the other ship was gaining quickly. Ben frowned. It was a stealth craft, black and sharp, just like the one they had seen earlier. They found us, Ben muttered. Larry sat beside him. I will help you. I know how they move. Ben guided the drift light toward a nearby asteroid field. It was risky, but it was the only way to hide. The ship shook as they entered the field. Rocks drifted in every direction. One wrong turn could tear the ship apart. I need eyes on the left, Ben said. I see it, Larry answered. They worked together, weaving through the floating rocks. The enemy ship followed, firing small blasts. One shot grazed the side of the drift light, making the ship shake. Hull damage, Ben said. Not critical yet? Larry closed her eyes for a moment. Her forehead glowed softly. Turn right, then down. Trust me. Ben followed her instructions. A large asteroid passed overhead, blocking their ship from the enemy's view. How did you know that? He asked. My people can feel space around us. Some of us are born with the gift. It is faint, but I still have it. Ben stared at her. That's amazing. She gave a small smile. It helps sometimes. They stayed hidden. Behind the asteroid, the enemy ship moved closer, scanning. Ben powered down the engines again. Everything went silent. The enemy ship paused. Then, after a long moment, it turned and moved away. Ben waited 5 more minutes before restarting the systems. They're gone, he said. For now, Larry replied. But they will come back. They always do. Ben stood and stretched. We need to repair the damage. Can you help me? Yes. Together, they went to the outer part of the ship. With tools and scrap, they patched the damaged area. It wasn't perfect, but it would hold. Larry worked quickly, her hands steady. She knew more about machines than Ben had expected. You're good at this, he said. I was a shipbuilder before the war. Ben looked at her. You don't talk much about your life. There isn't much left to talk about. Ben didn't push her. He understood that kind of pain. Later. That evening, Ben checked the children again. They were playing quietly. Sen, the little boy who woke first, ran up to Ben. Will we reach the station soon? He asked. We're close, Ben replied. Will there be people like you there? Ben smiled. Yes, humans live there. Will they help us? Too, Ben paused. I hope so. Sen hugged him. You're the best human I know. Ben chuckled. I'm the only one you know. Still the best, the boy said. Lowry, I watched from the corner. Her expression was soft. She had started to believe in Ben, not just as a rescuer, but as someone who truly cared. That night, Ben dreamed of fire. of shadows in space, of ships burning and children crying. He woke up covered in sweat. Larry was already awake, sitting by the window. "You dreamed of them," she said. Ben nodded. "Yeah, the fear stays even when we are safe. Are we safe now?" She looked at him. "No, but we are not alone. That changes everything." The next morning, the drift light picked up a new signal. This one was different. It was a beacon. The neutral station was close. Ben felt a wave of relief. "We made it," he said. Larry smiled. "Not yet, but almost." Ben turned to the children. "Everyone, get ready. We're about to dock." He contacted the station. "This is the drift light. We have wounded and refugees requesting emergency docking." There was a pause. Then a voice replied, "Driftlight, we read you. Sending docking instructions now." Ben guided the ship toward the station. It was large, with long arms and blinking lights. As they approached, Larry touched Ben's shoulder. "No matter what happens now, thank you. You gave us a second chance." Ben looked at her. "Let's just get inside first." The driftlight docked with a quiet thud. The doors opened, light poured in. Uniformed guards stood on the other side, weapons ready. Ben stepped out first, hands raised. "I'm human. These people are refugees. They need help." The guards looked at the aliens behind him. They lowered their weapons slowly. One of them nodded. "Bring them in. We'll get them medical care." Ben turned to Larry. She nodded. Together, they led the group into the station. For the first time in many days, they were off the ship. The children looked around in wonder. Ben felt tired but proud. He had brought them this far, and he knew this was just the beginning of something bigger. Ben sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the stars. His ship, the Driftlight, moved through deep space at a steady speed. Behind him, 6 alien stasis pods glowed softly. The woman he rescued, Larry, sat quietly beside the pods. Her silver eyes watched the children as if making sure they were still safe. Ben checked the sensors again. That strange signal was still there. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and cold. He didn't know what it meant, but it didn't feel friendly. Larry spoke softly. "They are searching. We must stay hidden." Ben nodded. "I'm trying." "The signal is close, but not too close yet." She looked at the screen. "They can feel us. They hunt by sound, by light, by memory." He didn't understand all of it, but he got the message. The people who attacked Larry's ship were still out there, and they might be coming. Ben turned to look at her. "What happened to your world?" Larry took a deep breath. "It was full of light. Gardens, rivers, song. We lived in peace." Then the sky opened. Shadows came. Machines without faces. They burned everything. Ben listened without interrupting. "We were not warriors. We ran. We filled one ship with our youngest and those who could guide them. That ship crashed here. And the others, we don't know. Maybe gone. Maybe still running." Ben felt the weight of her words. He had saved them, yes, but the danger wasn't over. He checked the fuel. They had enough to reach the station, but only if they avoided trouble. The ship wasn't made for speed or battle. It was just a salvage rig. Larry walked to his side. "You are tired. You should rest." Ben shook his head. "I can rest when we're safe." She gave a small smile. "You carry too much alone." Ben didn't answer. He had always worked alone. No one had ever said those words to him before. Suddenly, the warning light blinked. A ship had entered the edge of the Driftlight's range. Unidentified. "Contact," Ben said aloud. Larry stood behind him, tense. "Hide, now." Ben powered down non-essential systems. He drifted into the shadow of a small asteroid field. The ship's heat signature dropped. He kept the lights off. Silence filled the cabin. Through the window, they saw the shadowy shape of a dark ship pass nearby. Its body was smooth and black, like a predator in the dark. Laurie whispered. That is. One of them. The dark ship paused. Then it released a small probe. The probe spun and blinked, sending out signals. Ben held his breath. The probe drifted closer. Ben slowly reached for a panel and disabled all outgoing signals. The drift light went silent. Minutes passed. The probe scanned, then turned away. The dark ship followed it. Soon, both were gone. Ben let out a long breath. Larry did too. That was close, he said. Too close, she agreed. Ben turned the systems back on slowly. He changed course slightly to avoid detection. The journey was still long. A few hours later, one of the pods beeped. The young alien inside was waking up. Ben and Larry rushed over. The pod opened, and a child sat up, confused and scared. Larry knelt and held the child, speaking soft words in her own language. The child calmed slowly. Ben brought water and soft food. The child was weak but safe. Larry helped feed him. His name is Sen, she told Ben. He is the son of our healer. Sen looked at Ben with wide eyes. Are you the one who saved us? Ben nodded. Yes. The boy smiled a little. You're very brave. Ben felt awkward again. He didn't feel brave. He just did what needed to be done. More pods began to beep. One by one, the others awoke. Larry spoke to them gently. She told them they were safe. She introduced Ben to each one. The children were quiet but curious. They had never seen a human before. The older man in one pod had an injury. His leg was broken. Ben helped carry him to a bed. Larry treated the wound with a strange glowing gel. The man thanked Ben in their own language, bowing his head. His name is Callan, Larry said. He was our teacher. Ben felt a strange sense of duty growing inside him. He had found these people, helped them survive. Now he was all they had. That night, Larry sat beside Ben in the cockpit. You could have left us, she said. I couldn't. Why? Ben looked at the stars. Because it's wrong to leave someone behind. Larry nodded slowly. We thought your kind were cold, machines, but you are not. Ben laughed a little. Some of us are machines, but not me. She smiled. It was a quiet, gentle moment. The next day, a message finally came through. It was from Ben's command. They had received his first report, but told him to stand by. They didn't want to get involved. Ben stared the message in disbelief. They won't help, he said. Larry touched his arm. Then we must help ourselves. Ben agreed. He deleted the message. He no longer trusted them. He spent the next few hours reinforcing the ship. He used scrap metal to strengthen the hull. Larry helped him set up better shielding around the pods. Together, they turned the small salvage ship into something more. Children played in the back. Their laughter filled the air. For a moment, it didn't feel like a rescue mission. It felt like a family, but Ben knew the danger wasn't over. The signal was growing stronger again. The hunters were still out there. He looked at Laurie. We need a plan. She nodded. We must reach the station before they find us again. It's risky, but it's all we've got. Ben changed course, pushing the engines harder. He knew they were being chased. He could feel it in his bones. Larry stood beside him, calm but focused. Together, we can make it. Ben looked at her and nodded. They had no choice. They had to try. The drift light flew through space, carrying hope, fear, and something new, a bond between a human and a people he never knew existed. And ahead, the future waited, still unknown. Ben was just a salvage operator. He worked alone on a small ship called the Driftlight. His job was to scan old wrecks and bring back anything useful. Most days were quiet and uneventful. He liked it that way. Space was silent, and he liked the peace. One morning, a message came through. A large unknown ship had crashed on the edge of known space. It had no identification, and no one knew where it came from. Ben was the closest, so he was sent to check it out. The job sounded normal, but something about it felt strange. Ben followed the coordinates. When he arrived, he saw a broken alien ship floating near a small moon. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The surface was smooth and silver, with long cracks that glowed faintly blue. Pieces of the ship were scattered around. Some floated freely, and some were stuck in the moon's gravity. He turned on his scanner. Life signs, faint, but real. That was not what he expected. Usually, wrecks were empty. The signal came from deep inside the largest part of the wreck. Ben hesitated. His orders were clear. Scan and report. Do not interact. But someone might be alive. He grabbed his suit and stepped into the airlock. His boots clicked as he walked across the broken metal of the alien ship. The walls were twisted. Sparks jumped from wires. He moved slowly, his eyes on the scanner. The signal grew stronger. Then he saw her. A woman. Or at least something like a woman. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes were closed, and her body was pinned under a heavy beam. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping, but Ben could see her chest rising and falling. She was alive. He checked the beam. It was too heavy to lift alone. He looked around for tools. Using a cutting torch and a metal rod, he created a lever. It took time and effort. His arms ached, and sweat dripped down his back. Finally, the beam shifted just enough. He reached in, grabbed her gently, and pulled her free. She was light, almost weightless. Ben carried her back to his ship. He laid her on the medical bed and turned on the scanner. Her vital signs were weak but stable. Her body was different, but the scanner adjusted. He gave her oxygen and fluids, not knowing if they would help. He sat beside her, watching. Hours passed. Then her eyes opened. They were soft and glowing, like pale silver stars. She looked around in panic. Her body tensed. Ben raised his hands. Slowly. You're safe, he said. You're on my ship. I found you in the wreck. She blinked. Her mouth moved, but the words were strange. A small device near her neck lit up, and her voice changed. Where ... am I? She asked, her voice shaky. Near. The border. You're on my ship. I'm Ben. She looked at him, confused. Her eyes filled with tears. You ... saved me? Ben nodded. Yes. She sat up weakly. Her hand shook. You are the only one who saved our lives. Our. Ben asked . She looked down. There are more, hidden, sleeping, children. Ben stared at her. He thought he had rescued one alien. Now she said there were more. He checked the scanner again. The signal had changed. There were faint signs buried deeper in the wreck. He looked at her. Are they alive? She nodded slowly. Pods. Hiding. We fled. We crashed. Ben stood up. And I have to go back. It is dangerous, she whispered. They may still come. Ben didn't know who they were, but he couldn't leave others behind. He returned to the crash site. He moved faster this time. He knew what to look for. The stasis pods were hidden beneath thick layers of metal. He used his tools to cut through. The first pod he found was cracked, but the child inside was alive. He carried the pod back to his ship. Then he went for the next. He worked for hours, saving one pod at a time. His body ached, and his hands were bruised. But he didn't stop. In total, he found 6 pods. 4 held children. 1 held an older man. The last one held a young woman with markings on her skin. Ben lined them up in the cargo bay and checked each one. The stasis fields were holding. The alien woman, Larry, helped him when he returned. She moved slowly, still weak, but her hands were steady. She touched each pod gently, whispering words in her language. You risk much, she said to Ben. I couldn't. Leave them. She looked at him with deep emotion. You're not like the others, Ben shrugged. I just did what anyone would do. She shook her head. No, most turn away. Most fear us. You saved us. Ben felt awkward. He wasn't used to praise. He looked away. He checked his ship's systems. Something was wrong. Static filled the long-range comms. A strange signal pulsed in the background. It was not natural. It came from deep space. What is this? He asked Laurie. I looked at the screen. Her face went pale. They are looking, she said. They may come. Ben felt a chill. Who are they? The ones who destroyed our world. Ben looked at the sleeping children. He looked at Larry. He had saved them, but now they were all in danger. He made a choice. We need to leave, he said. Now. He plotted a course to the nearest neutral station. It was far, but it was the best chance. He turned on the engines. Laurie, I sat beside him. She placed her hand on his arm. Thank you, Ben, she said. He looked at her and nodded. Outside. The stars moved. The driftlight began its journey. And in the silence of space, one human and a group of alien survivors raced toward safety, not knowing what would come next.